Great.
Yeah, they got like the mouth that moves and all that.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you say
Well,
all alive?
I'm okay to kick it off. She's probably on her way, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting too long.
Yeah, I mean it's just an idea anyway. I just kind of want to get your guys' feedback on what you think of it. That being said, I'm entirely on board for the idea that's being pitched. However, I would rather offer a platform for our cops to speak for themselves because they are cops, and never been a cop, never will be, and don't have as much perspective. That being said, I want everybody to weigh in on their thoughts on this idea. So, Declan, if you want to explain, I think you're probably the best one for it.
Height can do. So once again, I'm Sergeant Declan Crane with the BCSO. I also am the head of personnel and training for the BCSO, so I do all our recruiting and oversight. And I am a command member for Shift 2. So Ms. Jones and I have been speaking off and on the last few days, even before she was elected, about things in the North and what I think could be done to improve policing and just community relations overall. One of the key things that we struggle with up north is controlling the highway. I personally am someone who enjoys doing highway traffic. I was telling Miss Jones that one of my first ever big arrests was actually on the previous chief of staff, Siobhan Fitzpatrick. I caught her driving Michael Simone's personally owned Gauntlet back when they were more rare and nobody had them. Kind of the era that you and Bones were talking about there, scraping money together. I caught her going over 180 miles an hour on the freeway. But I should mention, I did not really catch her. I did have a Scout with 100mm turbo, but I was completely unable to keep up. For reference, I was parallel with her leaving the casino.
She crashed.
And by the time we reached the prison, she had 15 car lengths on me. By the time we reached the U-Tool, I was VCB, visual contact broken. I couldn't see her. I only ended up finding her because I just continued pushing north to Toledo because I knew Michael Simone lived there. And I found her stopped at the 24/7 outside Toledo, just kind of standing idly by the car. She admitted to me that she was the one driving the car. She was oblivious that I had even been behind her or seen her speeding at all. So I arrested her for reckless driving. We had a bench trial over it. She was found guilty because she admitted under Miranda to listening to her music so loud she didn't hear the sirens. And being on the phone while driving north of 170 miles an hour, which I argued qualified as reckless. The point of all this is that I think one of the things that the BCSO should be doing that we are ill-equipped to do currently is controlling the highway.
Wait, did she pass legislation for a son?
Who would liken this or compare it to past iterations of like a cargo fast or a street racing unit. I want to make it very clear this is not that, and I don't want it to be that, and I want it to be so clear that it is not, that I do not want anyone to even have the impression that it is that. My goal is to create a unit where you are either of a command level or higher, or you are specifically certified to operate and run highway traffic. I want 95% plus of that person's time in that vehicle to be running highway. I want them posted on medians. I want them in bushes. I want them at exit points in and out of Toledo, in and out of Sandy, in and out of Grapeseed, controlling the freeway. Mr. Chavez, I can personally vouch to you, and I would do so under oath. You could even do a ride along and see for yourself someday that if I just sit at one of these positions with radar running, and you can even see in the passenger seat, about every 3, 5, 7 minutes, someone will ping on your radar going north of 175 miles an hour.
I believe it.
These are Italia RSXs, gauntlets with turbos, Vigeros, you name it. People are just full sending. And I will assure you, sir, these are not necessarily criminals. Most of the time, it is the Siobhan Fitzpatricks. They know that they are just going to get a ticket. They know that most of the time the cops can't even attempt to keep up with them or accelerate to catch them. And they know that a plate read is not enough to issue the ticket or a warrant. So they just do it because they can get away with it. I would like people to have a deterrent fear in their mind of driving 175 miles an hour plus on the freeway. In fact, I would like to make it a policy for this unit that if someone is caught going 175, that we push reckless driving. I think that too often we just throw a speeding ticket at someone. And if you look at the highway, it's 90 miles an hour. So someone goes double the speed limit, which is actually insane to think about, and we're just giving them a ticket. In my mind, I don't even feel safe as an officer when I have to drive over 175. I feel like at any time my sirens are going to cause the locals to freak out. They're going to cause me to eject. I feel in fear for my safety.
This is
it is not safe for anyone to drive that
this
speed.
would
I
make
don't think there's
sense
any reason to
if
do so out of like a
the PD
controlled
was in a
track
good
environment or
spot.
drag strip.
For me,
So my opinion is that I
it
think we
reads
should be
as we
equipped
want
with
some
some
cool
kind of
shit to
vehicle,
do,
whether it is performance
but the
modification for
PD's
current
rip right
cars
now.
or specific cars just for this purpose that are faster acceleration and top end. And they should be designated solely to this certified unit of only command and certified members. I'm expecting something equivalent to our current command members, which is 2 per shift. So if you think about 2 or 3 command per shift, plus maybe 1 to 2 certified people per shift who are not command, these people would only run the highway in that car. If they go to respond to another call, they would need to swap out of that car and transition to a normal vehicle. In terms of the parameters for how things would operate when chases that we would do on the highway go into the city, that would be your call and the LSPD's call of how they would like to coordinate. In my opinion, I would ultimately wish at some point that there would be some kind of equivalent force in the LSP to handle the city issues of vehicles that we cannot catch with normal cars. If that does not exist for the time being, I have no problem with telling the highway patrol units to stick on to maintain as long as they are necessary, and then to break off to a parallel position and return to the freeway city limits. But again, I want to be very clear. I am not here advocating for a cargo fast street racing unit. And in fact, I will do everything in my power to make everyone know that this is not that.
This is,
and if they treat it as that, I want them to be thoroughly disbarred from ever doing the unit or being a part of it.
Yeah, removed from the unit entirely.
The primary goal of this, if I'm understanding this is to deter people from driving effectively recklessly.
Correct.
And
highway
it's more of
interdiction.
like to create a fear.
I want people to think twice before deciding that they are going to run from the cash exchange by swapping into their $350,000 car and forcing the police to chase them at 200 miles an hour up the freeway.
And with it set up this way, if the people decide to do that and they already know about the highway patrol that's up there, they're actively making that choice for what they're going to do.
He's spinning it. Okay.
Yeah, and again,
I like
part
this.
of the, and I want to be clear here, sir. And I want everyone who ever comes in contact with this idea or talks about it or hears about it to understand this very clearly. This is not the street racing jocks. This is not the cargo fast people. 95% of the time, the people who are in this unit will be sitting on the highway in a median running radar
until they're asked
they
to
will be
attach.
issuing traffic tickets. And if the people are going above 175, which is what the sheriff and I think is like a reasonable figure, or I should say reasonable in that it is unreasonable to drive that fast, then we would push the reckless driving charge as a policy. But my goal is to have this be known as a highway interdiction unit. We will handle, the east and west, routes going up to and down to Grapeseed Sandy, Polito. Our goal is to deter people from just sending it up the freeway without regard for life.
Okay.
Yeah, they will live and breathe the highways of the north, but they're not there to fucking come down to the city and respond to exchanges and
they would attach though in the event someone's like highway blasting, right?
Correct. So if LSPD, if LSPD has a chase and calls it out, then we would coordinate.
Easy. I actually like this a lot. Is there like a write up for this anyway?
Not yet. We wanted to see if you guys had thoughts or things that needed to be, or you wanted to be addressed within that paperwork before I write it up.
I would much rather see. Wait, are we talking about legislation being written or SOPs?
Legislation, but SOPs I think should also be discussed.
I rather see a proposal coming from them before legislation. And the reason I say that is the way I'm seeing it is they're asking for something, and I want to know, like, from their end, their description of it, and then see how the legislation ties for it. You know what I mean?
So you want their SOPs into our legislation, and then
because otherwise we'd be setting. This is my perspective. Is like we'd be setting barriers around something that like I wouldn't know, like, you know what I mean? I might be like, okay, you can do X, Y, and Z in the legislation, but they may have a different perspective. So,
no, and that's totally fine. My process for that in the north would be, yes, they're going to have to give me some kind of outline of how this is structured, and I'm going to have to prove that before I even pick up a pen to write legislation for it.
Yeah. Oh,
because if I write the legislation first, then obviously I trust these two not to do that, but effectively any person could just then say, okay, these are SOPs that are not really fitting with the very vague legislation that's supposed to inform the people of generally what it is.
Yep.
So
And
it needs to be outlined first, legislation, then submit.
yeah.
That being said, I think this would offer a lot of personality to the North. I don't think it fucks with any future SRU stuff should that ever happen. I think it gives personality to cops who might, I don't know. I would not doubt that there are officers who feel like they are going through the motions on the day-to-day. I think it provides an option for them to feel like they have a certain identity as a cop, that they are, I am highway patrol, I do XYZ, I am here serving this purpose, which I think can help a lot with morale, which we all know has been up and down as of the late months, to put it lightly.
It also would
I
help
am
fill a
in
gap.
full support of this.
I just wanted to add on to that because she brought up something that I was thinking of, ma'am. It also fills a gap, sir, that's hard to explain if you're not a cop, but Bones and Barrett can attest. As someone who patrols the North pretty regularly, and I'm one of, I will say proudly, the few people over the last 6-7 months who have actually actively investigated Sandy and Polito. I am ping-ponged a lot back and forth, especially in shift 2 with low unit numbers, to where I'm kind of forced to try to find time to go up to Sandy, and then I get dragged back down to the city, and then I'll go to Polito, and then I'll get dragged back down to the city. If I was running highway as a dedicated sort of task, I think it would make that flow a lot easier because I'd be stationed kind of on the highway anyway.
It's a way you can help the city as well.
It's a way that provides for both sets of functions without needing to sacrifice people. Because as Miss Jones said, it would give you an identity to run highway, and then you wouldn't need cops from the city to be like, maybe I'll go do some highway now, or cops from Polito to be like, hey, maybe I'll go do a traffic, speed trap.
Is that is that a terrible thing though?
I don't think it's terrible.
That so horrendous?
I don't think it's bad. I do it personally.
I like Barrick.
One
I like
specific department.
I don't think it's bad, and I don't think personally
Barrick.
that,
I like this, Barrick. I like this, Barrick.
I personally have given up on doing highway lately.
I like this.
All I do is just
run
radar reads of people going 185.
This is the Barrick
and
I
have
want to see.
nothing to do about it.
Okay, and
as
somebody that is on,
what stops you guys from doing the exact same?
there is not like a reasonable alternative to that. And I'm just gonna be devil's advocate here, even though I am on your side. It does not matter what fucking car you drive. If you are at a standstill and someone goes by you at 175, you will not catch them.
Well, I have
set up like
let me counter that
now.
Let me counter that. I have positions where I run highway, and I'm telling you right now that I have positions where if I had maybe a 20% better car at accelerating, I would be able to keep up with people. It's about the correct position where you can see them coming from literally like a mile down the road. For example, I have one position that is facing southbound, the part that goes straight into the city off of the freeway. The people are coming into Strawberry. There's a set of bushes that you can sit behind where if you pick the right angle, you can see all the way back to the overpass that connects the end of the casino area, the Vinewood Park Drive, to Sonora Road over there. But the problem is that even with the optimal position and the optimal turbo in like the mid 60s for acceleration, I cannot keep up. Now, if I had a little bit better, I would be able to because I can get a rolling start. And I think that,
Okay.
In addition to
it all depends on the setup.
Going on in the city that's going to be moving north, what stops cops from letting them know that they need to highway patrol on standby in case it starts going that direction? So that they're already prepared to chase by the time it passes, not stopping, turning around, trying to chase.
I don't necessarily disagree with the chief here 100%, Mr. Chavez. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. He is right. There is a certain level of reality that if someone is blasting the highway at 190 miles an hour or whatever, unless you have a rocket ship, you are not going to magically from a dead stop be able to catch up with them. What I'm saying is that the deterrent effect of actively patrolling on the highway with cars that could keep up in certain scenarios at certain speeds, at certain acceleration points, at certain
I'm not talking
stakeout points, I think will deter the behavior.
I don't think you guys understand.
To at least create.
I have IRL executive experience.
Some deterrent.
You let
to
them talk
because, like I said, it's
you're
not
seeing
just
you're going to see a
now,
different Nino.
It's everybody.
I'm letting
anyone
him talk.
who spends enough time doing
I don't
tow
need to
or
talk.
Group 6 or whatever,
I make
and makes
decisions.
a couple $100,000, immediately goes and buys a 2-door sports car, and then every
They don't
time
need
they
to know
drive
my
up to
opinion.
Toledo or they drive to Sandy or Grapeseed, they're just sending it at full speed and they don't care. And I think that having a dedicated highway unit who has some
I'm
capacity
not
to deal with
letting
that,
this
whether it's
happen.
going to
I'm
be
just
perfect or
keeping
not,
them happy.
I think would be
being
good
able
for
to
the North
talk.
and good for the city.
This
as
isn't
well.
happening. I'm sorry. Yeah, and good. I like the I like this. I want to see a proposal though, like in writing, whether it's like SOPs or whatever you want to, kind of do it. The way that I like to operate, and whether it's going to be the police department, whether it's a business or whatever comes through, like I want it in writing, describing from A to Z exactly what it is that we're planning here, so that there's no misunderstanding as to what the request is, right?
100%.
All right. So when can you get that by?
I'll speak with Miss Jones about her availability, but I have no problem getting that to you. Miss Jones, are you available over the weekend, or are you going to be free?
I'll be available via email, not otherwise.
Okay. Then first thing
That
next
being
week, say
said,
like
this meeting
Monday
is
around the same time.
more of looking for weigh-ins, because ultimately, if we want to do that in the North, we can, right? So it's more so where your guys' concerns would lie. Barrick, it sounds like you probably have more concerns that I would love to hear before they go any further.
I mean, whether you guys want to do that one way or another, that's fine. But I feel like it's probably more so like even being like constructed based around like the cars. And whether that is the truth or not, one way or another, that's fine. If it is or if it isn't. But I think one way or another, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much the primary reason that we are here one way or another is because of the cars, because of the Interceptors specifically, not because this, that, and the other, what they could be used for or specialized for. It's because people believe that we want those cars.
We will have I think you're worried about this like kind of turning into a cargo fast unit, but that's going to be a whole different thing.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying that
let's pause,
we'll need, though,
everybody. Look, proposal. And that proposal can be reviewed by Barrick. It can be reviewed by you, Bones. It can be reviewed by me. It can be reviewed by Andy. And then we'll take step 2. Anything else? All right. Good idea. I want to see that keep going. And Barrick, I want to chat with you after this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Nino.
Yep.
Can I put out a thought here?
No. Anything else? All right, easy. All right. Thank you guys
Thank you, sir.
for your time. Sorry, Abby. I'm not going to entertain that any further.
Understood.
Yeah. They didn't talk to you about this at all, Barrick?
Like the idea of having like a highway patrol thing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We talked about like the cars and stuff like that, and how they were basically going to propose something for the cars. Sure. Bobby, get out.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be like a highway patrol thing, which I think it's a cool idea for sure, but I don't know. This might be just like a kind of selfish way of looking at it.
No. I'm glad you spoke up. Look, they can dress a fucking pig with lipstick. I ain't fucking that pig. You know what I'm saying? So, let them write it down, but at the end of the day, it's a cargo fast unit.
Yeah, which more and more thought about it. The need for those cars is apparent and it is real, but not for the reasoning that they.
No, not for the reasoning.
They
were trying to bullshit like so fucking hard. Like, oh yeah, like I can fucking do some calculus and put it in a fucking bush and like deter this. But by the way, we're gonna attach to all these things. Like, motherfucker, what do you think? How do you think that's gonna play out? But look,
but I will say
yeah.
on their behalf, there is good reason for us to have them.
Yeah,
Not for the standard patrol, not for anything like that.
Yeah.
But for like the high-end races that occur and stuff like that. And for the people, especially earlier in the day, that are driving around in like $1 million supercars and stuff like that in the earlier shifts, it isn't. Those cars are necessary for that kind of stuff.
You know what? I would have actually just transparently been 1,000,000 times more like, listen, I'm not going to break their heart, right? But they're fucking jerking me off over here. I think they're jerking you off too. I'm actually kind of annoyed that, like, from where I'm sitting, it looks like you were, you know, kind of, this was kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? Like, you were kind of thrown into the mix and like, hey, surprise, you know.
That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit. That's why I told them, like, fucking write that shit down, all right? And then we'll go from there. We'll individually look at it and go from there. And that is the way I want everything to be done. Doesn't matter if it's a police department, doesn't matter if it's a fucking business, because otherwise we can sit in here all day and like yap. But once it's written on paper, there's no confusion, you know? And then, you know, we'll work on it from there. But I'm with you. Look, between us, Barrick, it's hard for me right now, just transparently, to be very concerned about a fast car getting away and when there's so much other shit. You know what I mean?
I think and
that's not to sideline it, right? But it's kind of like, I want you to picture from my perspective, right? Is like I see 6 units on duty yesterday. I see, you know, all these other problems brought up. And to hear cargo fast be the first thing is kind of like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell
like
me if I'm wrong, by the way, Barrick. You know.
No, I mean, yeah, that you're 100% right. I don't know. I see a much different alternative to what they're providing than what the kind of idea has been.
Yeah.
And, you know, they kind of like want and desire for those cars to be shipped in has been very great and very apparent for, you know, months on end. But I think the proper alternative is that myself and Bones go to like the manufacturers and stuff like that, because every car in our fleet was designed to do something specific. And those vehicles that cannot meet those specific standards, for an example, like the VSTR is designed to be that kind of like highway vehicle.
Yeah.
Which it fails to be able to do so because of certain things. And if we can provide those certain things and get them looked at, I think that's a much better alternative than essentially unleashing these other vehicles that are, you know, extremely high end.
Yeah. I like the strategy you're applying there, you know. I think that bigger picture needs to be thought out, because you know, beyond just the equipment, right? I am a little concerned too that the head of PNT's also sort of leading the charge on this, and this is maybe a minor thing.
I can pretty much guarantee you, like, I'm no strain. I'm not going to shy away from this. You know, everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. I'm not always great at articulating what I'm thinking about or articulating how I speak about certain things. And Declan is very good at that. So I am, I don't know, I would not be surprised if that was the kind of avenue of why he was here. But also he is somebody that patrols a lot. Yeah. Much more than Bones and I will. So he'll have a lot more insight. So I understood why he was here to a degree. So providing that kind of perspective as well.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I wanted to pop that bubble, just like the way that I did there. Intent wasn't to be rude, but like, you know, I don't, listen, they need to come here with a fucking proposal. They need to be pulling you into that. If you want, if they come in here for like a, yes, you can have your little special unit, like that's fucking like unprofessional as fuck, to be frank. So let's see what they cook up. If they can't get it on paper, that in and of itself is a problem, and then we can evaluate the proper way. But
yeah,
all right.
Like I said, I mean, if it comes to it, I understand their reasoning. I think a reasonable alternative on the LSPD side of things for what they're proposing would be us just having them essentially patrolling the greater city for like racers and like high-end vehicles and stuff like that. But
yeah,
but I don't know. I think that I haven't put much thought into it beyond that, though.
Yeah, I want this shit to like cook a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, at minimum, you should be looped into that proposal and provide your feedback to it, rather than, what is this half cooked? Like, yo, we're bored. We want a fucking fast car, because that's how the conversation came across to me.
I think, and I will say, like devil's advocate here, I believe that's what they were probably trying to do in this like little meeting, was kind of get people's thoughts rather than like come down to a concrete decision or something like that. I think
I think it started good, but I'm not gonna let my chief of police get into an argument with a fucking sergeant. That's inappropriate. So
I mean, listen, I am not somebody that will ever shy away from uncomfortable conversations or like, conflict conversations or anything like that.
Yeah.
I am perfectly fine being in the middle of those kind of things and trying to hash out differences and problems with people.
Yeah.
Because I always want things to improve as best I can.
Yeah. But, I appreciate that. I'm glad you spoke up. Like, until shit got out of hand, I wasn't actually planning to step in.
I mean, for a long time, if I would have spoken up, I probably would have lost my job. So,
Jesus fucking that's not happening with me.
Wait, what do you mean lose your job?
I mean, the same person that put me in my position could take me out of it. So, and a lot of the thoughts that I had were not pleasant and not in his favor.
I guess what I'm getting at is just for speaking up, you believe that?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Listen, I've been around a lot of people in my life, and the people that will ultimately result to yelling at everybody in the room to have their voice heard generally will not care to reason too much.
Yeah, understandable. All right. All right, Barrick. Like I said, if I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but they're probably sure there's possibly some hurt energy.
I have no doubt, and I imagine I will catch.
Well, they're gonna have to.
So,
well, I mean, fuck them. I asked them to do their homework. They can do their homework like good little kids, or they can be butthurt. It's one of the two. You know what I mean? We cannot. I refuse to do anything, regardless of who it is. Right? The bare minimum proposal needs to be done. Otherwise, there's nothing to discuss. I don't. No matter what we do, it cannot be seat of the pants. I feel we want this, and then a decision is made from there. So. Oh, is that Kit?
Yeah, I was letting her know she can come in.
Oh, yeah.
Want her involved.
Wait, she might not be. Is the door locked for her?
No, I
mean, objectively, if this is something that, if it is something they want, they're probably just going to do it.
Yeah. All right.
By the sounds of it, I'd imagine.
All right, easy. Okay. Oh shit.
But, yeah.
Wait, Kit, are you able to get in?
No, it's locked. Bobby Charles is lurking around the door.
Yeah, he's our like poodle.
Sorry, I didn't see the follow-up message that you sent.
Oh, you're good. Kit, the TLDR is they proposed verbally a desire for the A highway patrol unit that can attach to other calls. It sounds like Barrick was not really weighed into the desires of said unit. In other words, it was pre-cooked.
Ultimately, my biggest issue with it was if this was something that was going to be, if this like kind of thing was going to be devised between the two departments and not specifically just the BCSO, I would have been in favor.
Yep.
But starting from just that, no, I was not in favor.
Yeah. I told them, before we get ahead of themselves, do they have a proposal, SOPs written up? The answer was no. We wanted to talk about this before going forward. I said, that's not how I do things. I want it written down so there's no confusion as to what is being asked. Conversation kept going forward. Started into it got a little too heated for my comfort for something that still isn't written down. And so the meeting ended, and now it's pending for something being written down, and then we'll visit it. But we're not going to visit it until Barrick takes a look at it too. So unless Barrick's comfortable with it, we're not even going to entertain it.
Well, I'm telling you, like, I would not be surprised if they don't even show it to me, and they just pass it
well, then they
north.
can suck a dick. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean that's likely the solution. I would imagine.
I have a question. So the pursuit unit that's being formed by the BCSO, it's not UPD.
Nope, which was my exact problem with it. And I said before you walked in, like, if this would have been a thing for the entire PD, and this is a department that patrolled all the highways, not just the northern highways, I would have been in favor of it. But I don't know. I am just it might be a detriment to some people, and in fact, I've come to notice it as a detriment as of late, in terms of like caring about everyone, I guess, as a whole, regardless of like department or which side of the ball you're on, this, that, and the other. I just
I missed that part. Wait, they're proposing that it operate under BCSO?
Yeah, it's only BCSO.
What the fuck? Are they cooked?
I mean, how do I say this? Because I can see why that is happening because of the people that were leading the pursuit unit, or like the proposed pursuit unit when I was an officer. It was, Bones, Lucas Lavender, who I think are both BCSO now. I can see why they just sort of continued it on, but I don't know. I feel like units make more sense as a UPD thing. I don't know. I guess that's something that's going to need to be clarified in the future. Units, department specific, or are they, the greater PD?
Yeah, that's got me even more concerned now, to be honest. I must have missed that bit. Why did they not, like, what level were you approached at this with, Eric? How much did you know about this prior to this meeting?
I knew there was going to be some kind of proposal around, like, suggesting.
Are these okay? So I'm going to speak a little openly here
for the vehicles, pretty much.
Look, I'm going to be transparent. Did they understand the word cooperation, and did they think through their steps that within 4 hours they're proposing something that would be operating out of one of the counties and have an effect on the entire fucking city, and leave out the chief of police out of the discussion? Are they fucking stupid? Are they fucking
be straightforward. Stupid? Like, there's cooperation and there's compromise.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They will likely do at all times what is best for them, which I can understand to some degree.
Yeah.
But that's just not
all right.
How I've ever really been.
Here?
But then on the other side of the coin,
I see.
But then on the other side of the coin, like, I think it can be viewed as selfish to some
Yeah.
for us not really like allowing them to do.
Yeah, I
as
just
they
don't.
please, per se.
I just don't like that you were kind of circumvented. Like, I mean, basic logic would dictate, hey, this affects the entire police department. Let's
that's not,
confer
that's
with
not
the
really a
with the
thought
chief.
process, though. To be fair, I
among
don't believe.
but by adults or by like in the PD? Like, what do you mean?
No, I mean just like for them in general.
Okay, has this been happening previously with other shit?
I mean, if I'm to be straightforward and honest, yeah. I mean,
well, I'm going to tell you this, Barry. You have my support, and if that's not going to be the case anymore, and if it gets bad, I will lock the entire fucking department out of the city. So, listen, you're not gonna get bitched around, all right? They're the fucking desert up north, all right? I don't know what they're producing for the city to begin with. I don't know what they're doing what they are producing. What are they producing? Fish? So they can do whatever they want and they will get, that's not going to work in their benefit. So, so they're either going to cooperate or they'll see what, they'll see what the alternative is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
no, yeah, I got you.
I mean, these motherfuckers can start legalizing moonshine up north and start cooking that if they really need to. But
yeah.
I don't I'm just saying, brother, we produce everything down here. Where the fuck are they getting the money from? Huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, it's fucking ridiculous. All right. Maybe we're overcooking here, but that did not sit well with me. No proposal, didn't even fucking talk to you. That's fucking absurd.
I mean, like I said, yeah, I didn't know anything about like the hire patrol thing. I knew stuff about the cars. A lot of them, I know very well, very fond of.
Yeah.
And I weigh their opinion very highly. However, I think it is very evident, and not just from.
When's the last time this has happened?
What do you mean?
Like this sort of thing?
I mean, it kind of happened like with the construction of the sheriff's office to begin with.
Okay. To be fair, that would have been outside of their purview, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even everybody, the sheriff's office was something that was talked about for like months. Probably the last like 6 months, to be fair. And that's not like an exaggeration. And it was always like, gonna happen in 1 to 2 weeks. It's gonna happen in a month. It's gonna happen in 1 to 2 weeks. It's gonna happen in a month. And then all of a sudden it happened. And, I understand they gotta like build a department and stuff like that. Some people are gonna want to leave. It's a shiny new thing. But I don't know.
I don't want to hold those decisions accountable to them, but they at minimum need to understand that things that affect the LSPD require discussion in advance of, putting the bowl out, right? Which is what happened here, right? And, I'm perfectly understanding of the fact that they may not have that level of let's just say professional manners, but I have no problem sort of teaching that as we go. I mean, so
like I said,
my recommendation, Barrick, you've heard my side of things, right? I'd recommend having a chat with Bones, making it rather clear that I am very much on board with starting with having a proposal written up, all right, having it reviewed by my chief, and when both parties are comfortable, then reviewing it at a executive level. But until those basic steps are done, there's nothing here other than just like there's no difference between that and Bobby being here like farting, It's just words, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
and
like I said,
that's
they're,
generally how I want everything that is going to be interdepartmental to happen. You need paperwork. There's no confusion. It's reviewed, and we're not wasting our time. You know.
Yeah, I mean, really boils down to, like I said, if this would have been just some kind of like a highway patrol unit for all the highways of the island and not just, the northern ones, then I would have been all in favor of it. But
yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
There's another point I want to make too, Beric. So you fully understand like why I take this approach. Without this approach, I'm gonna paint you some very real consequences, and please tell me if you disagree. Is that if we simply go on this verbal promise, right, and they then go off and they're like, yes, we got the thumbs up, and then they come back and they got some legislation which is effectively Cargo's fast unit. It's all in the BCSO. In other words, it's a bunch of shit that we didn't agree to, and now we have nothing to point back at because it was never written down, and it will very quickly turn into, but you said we could do these things, right? Despite having 30% more fluff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah.
But before I forget about this as well, I spoke to Ruby about this, and with the kind of purview that things might not change in terms of my position, I'm going to go ahead and getting going with all the stuff I want to do. And that first begins with, we will be bringing the captain position back, and we both have one singular name in mind, and we will be going about that early next week. As long as you have no issues with that, we will be getting it done and getting things moving forward.
All right.
It's something that is long overdue and has been needing to get done.
All right.
So,
yeah. All right. Easy.
Yep. All right. There anything else?
No, I'd say have a chat with Bones. I will let Andy know.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know how that conversation will go, but
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's we're not asking for the fucking world. We're asking for something being written down and reviewed by both heads, because you can't come here asking for like a fucking entire new unit and get a yes based on smiles and whatever the fuck.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head out if that's the case.
All right.
And always text or email away if you need something.
All right.
Hey, can I ask one question before you go?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So, the onboarding structure. When's like the next like?
Why is everyone saying Soze?
Onboarding of officers, or like, anything you can expound on in relation to the onboarding of officers? I'm curious about.
I mean, it kind of just happens, to be honest. Like, anytime a shift is ready to hire, they will hire people, usually multitudes of like 6 to 8 people, and they will onboard them, take them through academy, and then they'll become cadets.
Is there anything you could explain to me that would help me understand when a shift is ready to hire?
Yeah. When is the next hiring?
We should be starting shift 2 interviews relatively soon. So when each shift like hires that group of 6 to 8 people, they will kind of hold on to them and train them up for the next relatively like few weeks to a month or two. And then I think 2 months is probably an exaggeration. It's usually, I'd say, like 4 to 6 weeks to give or take. Some people struggling and stuff like that. But once pretty much the entire previous batch, if not the entire batch, at least like 80% of them have reached their kind of like PPO phase, or whether that be full officer, then we will look at getting some more going.
Okay. Could you give us an estimate on how many applications you get per month?
Per month, you said?
Yeah, per month. How many?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Could you?
That
look
was
into
something
for us?
I mean, I could try. Um, I don't know how I'd go about tracking that, but we could try and figure something out. I mean, the reality is the only method in place to track something like that is to apply. There's a $2,500 application fee, which we instilled like 3 months ago because we were effectively making no money and we needed to find a way to inject the PD with some money to provide like engine replacements and stuff like that for all the shared.
So who is the front line of reviewing the applications in your department?
It originally was me, as when I came into this position, I thought it was a time that we needed to be very selective with the kind of individuals that we brought in, but now it has since then been delegated down to the command members of every shift.
Okay, who is the command member of your shift that is delegated to?
I do not have a shift, but for shift 2, it's generally pretty much on. Actually, I would say it's on the lieutenants for the primarity between all the shifts.
Who's your lieutenant for that? Just one lieutenant, just name.
Vivian Gray is the lieutenant of shift 1. McNulty, Kia McNulty is the lieutenant of shift 2, and Sky Faye is the lieutenant of shift 3. Shift 3, between the BCSO and the LSPD, we have them run together with autonomy. As you know, I'm somebody that patrolled and spent all my time in those shifts for like 2 years.
What are the main restricting factors that prevent applicants from entering into cadet phase?
Whether they're just a good fit.
And that goes down to the shift lieutenants?
Yeah. They are put in their positions for a multitude of reasons. They are put in their positions because they are capable of doing the job. They are put in their positions because I believe they give off what the department is looking for. And they are the de facto shift lead. And if they don't want somebody to be a part of their shift, then they shouldn't be.
Do you think, as chief, you could give us more information on the entire process of this and possibly encourage hiring and tell us the problems that you're encountering with that? I don't know, Kit. I think Kit has a lot of.
I guess like what?
I think maybe we put a pin in this right now.
I agree.
This is what you came here for, Barrick, to talk about.
I mean,
hiring,
I'm open to answer any questions that are within reason.
We can get together some questions. I'll talk to Abilene about what particularly she would like to see, and we can pass those on to you.
Yeah, I think if I'm understanding this correctly, is this more visibility we can get into this, so we on our end have a better understanding of how things are ticking, so we can
like in terms of what specifically, like how people are chosen, or what the
sorry, I'm just summarizing what I think this conversation is about, but I do generally agree with Kit that this is probably something to put a pin in, but something for the at least the time being, because there's some other fires we got to put out first, like this civil war that's brewing. Do you know how to build walls?
It's been a few. It's been like 5 hours.
Well, I'm not the one who came busting through the door being like, hey, by the way, we want a cargo fast unit that's run by the North, and by the way, we're going to use all the money that was garnered from the city to pay for them, and by the way, we're going to attach to the calls that are being kicked off from the city. I mean, they can come down here, and I genuinely agree with the sentiment that I think they came here with ignorance, and they're about to get fucking educated. So, I'm gonna give Andy a call. Anything else, Barrick, you need from us?
I do not have anything else at this time. No.
All right, easy. I appreciate it, and like I said, I like that you spoke up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, you know, spent enough months on my hands, and you know, one way or another, if I am right or not, I will at least be giving my unbiased and selfless opinion.
Hell yeah. We're in it for the city, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I can promise you one thing, Barrick. You know, I may joke about walls and shit like that, but you know, I want cooperation more than anything, but it's got to be on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I mean,
there will
I'm
be
very
no
much
respect.
the same way. I just
All
want
right.
compromise, and yeah.
All right.
Want both sides to meet in the middle.
Yep. 100%. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Barrick. I appreciate it.
All
Andy.
right, you guys take care.
Anything.
Good night,
Love you, Karen.
Barrick.
Bye, Dad. Love you.
What's your dad?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you keep it so professional.
Yep.
He's my chief, you know.
Yeah, you were grilling him a little.